Want to jump right into it, man. This year's champion for the NBA 2021 season, the Milwaukee Bucks. We celebrate that. Fear the deer, reigns
Fear the deer.
supreme. And I know we're going to dig into more of our recap of this later, but just really quickly, want to get your take on that, particularly the way that series ended out.
Man, that series ended up being, to me, a really good series. It really did. It ended up, every game was, for the most part, pretty good. And the Bucks pulled it off. I said earlier that I had picked Phoenix to win.
You did.
I just thought Phoenix was the better team. But what I was seeing out of the Bucks was, talent wise, I think they had enough talent, which they showed that they did. But for some reason, they refused to play to their strengths. You know what I mean? So those first two games, Brook Lopez is chucking up threes like it's nobody's business. Giannis is hanging around outside. They finally decided to occupy the paint. That's where they're strong. They're a big team. So, I mean, Budenholzer finally decided to make the adjustment. Big up to him, because I was critical of the fact that I thought he was a little late making adjustments in a lot of games leading up to that. But he made the proper adjustments. The role players kicked in. Drew Holiday finally, he showed up defensively as well. Chris Middleton, he did his thing. He showed up and was as advertised. So it was a great series for him. It was exciting. I mean, pretty much the last 2 or 3 games of the series, I mean, they were down to the wire. They were down to the wire. So I thought it was a great series, man. Very entertaining. I'm happy with it. I'm happy with it.
Yeah, Bobby Digital was the X factor. You know what I mean?
Yes, he was.
Shout out to the RZA. But I thought Bobby Portis played some key minutes, giving them physicality inside, gave them some timely buckets when they needed. He was an X factor, and it was interesting to me. His box score will not look great, but I thought PJ Tucker did a really great job being a steady force on the floor as a disruptor.
Yep.
Defensively, he was just menacing, even though he picked up a lot of fouls. He used all his fouls wisely. And you have that juxtaposed to the stout defense being played, by the rest of the team. It just really served to make, I think, Phoenix uncomfortable. I thought Giannis's blocks got into the head of Aiden. You could see him being less aggressive and forceful. He'll probably be in the gym and in the weight room this off season, because I think that was what it was. I think he just didn't have the strength and know-how technically to deal with. If it's not Giannis, it's Lopez. If it's not that, it's Bobby. If it's not Bobby, here comes PJ, undersized, and he's just getting banged around. And there just was no one to help him to relieve some of that interior pressure. So really, kudos to the Bucks. At times I thought, am I watching a different version of the San Antonio Spurs? Not as efficient offensively, but just you knew there's a system here, something I haven't seen before, but they seem to know what they're doing. And, the results were Phoenix didn't have an answer. And I was very surprised by that. I really, really was. I thought I would see a little bit more from Phoenix. I thought, Chris Paul, might lead them in a direction. I thought Devin Booker would be more of a problem later, but it seemed like once they got to the frustration point, they just didn't have enough to get through it. Like they couldn't push back. And really the Bucks just kept coming.
Yeah.
They kept coming. And that, man, there was no deterrent.
That was the other thing. So initially I looked at it and I'm like, man, all of these guys that we were praising. I mean, Chris Paul was playing excellent. Booker. I mean, people were throwing Kobe's name out there. They were likening him to Kobe. Which I thought it was way too soon for that. Anyway, great player he is.
You mean for Booker?
For Booker.
Likening Booker to Kobe? Yeah.
Yeah, it's way too soon. Way too soon. I mean, he's got to do that for a while before you can start calling that. But he's a great player. And then Ayton. Ayton became a man. He was outplaying AD and he was outplaying all the big guys that up until this point. And it just seemed like I was looking at it and I was like, man, everybody just fell back to earth. You know what I mean? It's like Booker, he disappeared. But then, maybe we're not giving enough credit to the defense. You know what I mean? Because Drew Holiday, he started playing D'ing up your boy
Booker.
Booker, and all of a sudden it was over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Chris Paul was having all kinds of issues. You know what I mean?
Right.
He was being D'd up. I mean, they were harassing him. And Ayton, like you said, Giannis is a big, strong dude, man. I mean, you can look at him and tell. But then not only that, you got Brook Lopez, a savvy veteran. You know what I mean? He's not small either. And then you got Bobby Digital just running crazy.
Right.
He's coming in to disrupt, as you say.
Right.
So I mean, that's a lot to deal with. And Ayton's still a young player. So I don't think it's so much that they just fell off. I think the Bucks really had the personnel to just give them problems, and they figured out what worked for them, and they finally started playing to their strengths, and that's what we saw. So it was a great game, and you have to feel great for Giannis.
Yeah,
I mean I think that's the best storyline you could have got out of this whole playoff. You know what I mean?